Hi everybody, for anyone who's watching already, we're just having some problems with the laptop, would you believe? There's always technical difficulties. So I've just kind of picked up the live stream on my phone for the moment so that everybody knows I'm actually going ahead and I'm not kind of dropped out or anything. Just trying to sort the laptop out. The laptop will be easier for me to live stream on, so hopefully we can pick things up with that. Hope everyone's okay. The weather today, especially where I am in Redcar, it's been a bit dull today. It's been a bit grey. It's not been as much of a scorcher today as it has previously been for the rest of the bank holiday weekend, which is weird because normally for bank holiday weekends it's always raining, so we've been quite lucky, to be honest. Bear with me, guys and girls, while I just sort this out and see if I can get onto the laptop. I didn't want to start the live stream early to test things because obviously I didn't want to go on before 6 o'clock, so I'm just obviously ready to go on now, and then found problems straight away, so we're just changing browser, so forgive me for that. I don't know if anyone can hear me okay. Hopefully there's not a problem with the microphone. Like I say, with a bit of luck we'll be swapping over to the laptop, so we'll be able to pick things up there. That'll be a better idea. I can see 13 people there dropped in already. Thanks very much for checking that out. It's going to be a great live stream. We've got a lot of sort of powerful things to get across today. I'm just going to wait until people, it's only 2 minutes past, so I'll wait until everyone gets in, wait till about 5 past, give people a chance to get in. But I think now is a good time to do any sort of public speech or any kind of messages related to anxiety. Obviously with what's going on, people's anxiety is at an all-time high, so now's a great time to help people with that. Right, so we're just jumping on the Mighty Redcar page now, so hopefully, fingers crossed, as soon as we get this on, we'll get started, because it'll be about 5 past anyway. Hey, so I wonder what people have been up to. Obviously I've not had much communication with people because I've been sort of isolating pretty well, really, sticking to it straight away. I mean, we've been going out for food, 1 walk a day. Anybody out there who's got kids knows that it's impossible to stay inside the house. They absolutely climb the walls. So yeah, we've been getting out a little bit. Right, okay, so let's have a look. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Facebook is not playing ball on the laptop, so that's fine. That's absolutely fine, because I've got notes on the laptop, so I can use my phone screen. So what we'll do is we'll just set myself up with the phone screen there. There you go. Can everyone see that? Can everyone hear that? This is ideal, actually, because I've got my phone right next to my notes now, so I can see everything. So let me just move that back a little bit. There we go. So give me some thumbs up if you can hear everything and if you can see everything. Hopefully there's not an issue. The phone seems to be better than the laptop, which in today's kind of technological world I'm not surprised about. So whenever I give a public speech or I do a live stream, I like to open up with a good clean joke, a good non-offensive joke, warm people up, get the nerves out the way a little bit. I mean, personally I don't feel nervous. I get excited and I buzz off doing live speeches. But some people don't know what to expect, so let's just get a nice joke out there. So this is a joke my 4-year-old came from school with, and I quite like it, actually. What you call an exploding monkey? A baboon. I find that quite funny, so every time she tells me that, it makes me smile. So basically, who am I? My name's Dan. My friends, some of my family call me JJ. It's just an old college nickname. So I'm a new kind of a relatively new life coach. I've been doing sort of life coaching for a couple of years now, all non-profit, and now I've kind of moved it. I was trying to set up a business from it, so I can do it full time. I help people with a lot of mental health conditions, anxiety, depression. I help people with body confidence in other areas. But I also help people to set rewarding goals and targets and get themselves through loads of different steps, to get to those goals and achieve those targets. So we'll just it's now 5 minutes past. I'll just wait a couple of minutes in case anyone else joining us there. Bit of juice there just to wet the old vocal cords. Right, what we'll do, we'll make a start. So we all know, and we all have a form of idea about anxiety. So what I'm going to be talking today about is anxiety. We're going to be looking at this kind of signs of anxiety, what causes it, where does it originate from, the benefits and restrictions, how we can use it to motivate ourselves, and to make ourselves more productive, what it means. So first of all, what is anxiety and what are the signs? I'm just going to move this over here because I'm conscious that everyone can see me looking at my notes. Apologies if I'm taking my eyes off there and I'm looking there. So basically, you have in the back of your head here, one each side called an amygdala. And that's it's a neuroscience kind of thing. It's part of your brain. Now, the amygdala, it's the only function of that part of the brain is to create anxiety. Now, a lot of times people kind of pick up anxiety and people look at the term of anxiety and think it's a negative thing. Not at all. Since cavemen days, since we were cavemen and right back from when humans began, the amygdalas on each side again, they create anxiety, and that pure the creation of anxiety was to keep them alive. Obviously, their surroundings were different to ours in the modern day. So the creation of anxiety was to alert them to danger and to keep them out of trouble, basically. So what exactly is anxiety? So anxiety is it's about worrying about the things that you don't have control over, really. That's pretty much what anxiety is. It's you planning a meeting, you going to somewhere new school, new college, you might be going on a flight, whatever it is you may be doing. Anxiety is just you worrying about the potential of what could go wrong. So there's many things that could kick off this. There's many things that could kick off your anxiety and what you feel is going to happen. Now, this could be something that you completely make up in your head. So let's go, for example, let's look at a meeting or a big presentation. You might get nervous beforehand, and a lot of people do. Personally, I don't, but that's because I've given so many. You might get nervous before, and you might be thinking, I've been in a situation before and I know what happens. I don't talk, or my voice goes funny, or I forget my notes. Loads of different things might go happen. So that's contributed to your anxiety. So you know it's not gone well in the past, and now you're scared that it might go wrong again in the future. You don't know for certain, but you're just going on your beliefs of what happened last time. The creation of anxiety it's what controls the fight or flight response. So the fight or flight, for those who don't know, I'm sure many people do, but for the people who don't know, the fight or flight is when you find yourself in a tricky situation, a dangerous situation, a situation where you don't feel comfortable, you are really getting outside your comfort zone. You either fight the situation and you come out on top, or flight, you run away from it. Now, two types of people, fight or flight, it depends on what you do. You are born one, and it's an open discussion, but I believe you can become the other. I think if you are a flight kind of person, you run away from danger, that is not a bad thing. Again, going back to prehistoric times, that's pretty much what was going to happen, or else you get eaten by a dinosaur pretty much in the prehistoric times and our ancestors. But when it comes to fighting your anxiety and fighting dangerous situations, I believe there's a lot of positive that can come out of that. I know Steve the other day, I was watching an interesting video that Steve Green did the other day, really interesting, about welcoming challenges. Now that's not really a flight, because then if you're flighting away from the situation, if you're running away from the situation, you're not open to your challenges. If you're looking to fight the situation, you are welcoming challenges, you are looking at what you can do with the challenges, and you are looking to make the best out of the challenges that sit in front of you. So we all know when we feel anxiety, but really, what are the full signs? What are the signs that you are anxious? So your breathing can become really shallow, it can become really quick. This can obviously lead to sort of dizziness, because you're not getting the oxygen in your system, in your bloodstream. It's not going around to your muscles, it's not going to your head, it's not going to your vital organs, because you're breathing so quickly. You get sweaty palms. There might be many different sort of symptoms that I'm not covering here, but you can get weak legs, you can feel sick. Some people get dry mouth. There's many, many different symptoms. So I don't know whether anyone watching this is a big sufferer from anxiety, and I hope in a way that there's a lot of people watching this who are, because then some of the things I'm going to say might be able to put you at ease. So what we're going to do, there we go. I'm just going to move down a little bit. We're going to look at, I prepared some notes here again, sorry. So what causes anxiety? What brings it on? So again, we're talking about the amygdala, and this is obviously, again, like I said, it's located here in the back of your head. It's really interesting if you want to read about that. It's called the amygdala. It goes into quite a lot of depth, a lot more depth than what I understand. But again, like I previously said, the sole purpose of anxiety is to alert us to something that doesn't feel right. It's something that doesn't feel like our normal circumstance. It's something that's out of our control, out of our comfort zone, something that we perceive that might be danger. Now, it might be wrong, but it's just our body's way of saying, look, I don't recognise this, it could be danger. And then if you can kind of recognise that situation or that environment and realise it's a safe environment, your brain can kind of pick up on that, and then maybe next time you're in that situation, you might recognise, hey, actually, this isn't such a bad situation. I've been here before, and I remember what it felt like, and actually it was okay. Things turned out all right. I'm just going to take a sip of water, getting a bit of dry mouth already. So there's two types of people. There's the people that welcome anxiety, like myself, and there's people who do things to avoid anxiety. Now, you might think, why would you want to welcome anxiety? Now, I believe personally, and I hope there's people out there that can kind of agree with me, that there are benefits and huge positives to feeling anxious and to being in an anxious disposition. Now, for me, I like to be out of my comfort zone. It's where I thrive, and it's where I buzz, and it's where I learn. If you're in your comfort zone all the time, you are not learning, because you are comfortable with what's going on. You already know what's going on, and I believe you're not learning anything new. So feeling anxious could be a good thing. It can tell you that you're out of your comfort zone, and this is where you're going to learn. So basically, I'm going to go off track a little bit, because we're going to talk about comfort zones, because this ties in with the benefits of anxiety, or I believe it does. So basically, people get comfortable. You do things, you get stuck in a routine, or you go to the same place, you do the same things, and you get comfortable, you get complacent. What happens when you step out your comfort zone? Now, I've made videos about this previously. I don't know if anyone's managed to catch that, but you have a look. It's quite interesting. Now, if you imagine your comfort zone as a tennis ball, a nice round tennis ball, that's you right in the middle in your comfort zone. Now, if you step out of your comfort zone far too much, it's like jumping in the deep end of a swimming pool and not being able to swim. Some people can adapt to that. Now, personally, I can't, not that deep anyway. Some people, like myself, who struggle to adapt to that far out. So what's between jumping too far out your comfort zone and remaining in your comfort zone? Just outside that tennis ball, just outside that comfort zone, there's a thing called an optimum stress level. Now, what that happens is, again, it's a psychological thing. You can read about this. It's called optimum stress level, and it's really interesting to read about. I love it. So when you step out your comfort zone just a little bit, you start to feel the symptoms. You start to get the breathing, the sweaty hands, maybe the armpits sweat a little bit. You get the stomach feeling. You feel a bit sick. Your knees are weak. You know you're out your comfort zone right now. You know that this isn't normally where you would be. But that's a good thing, because if you don't step out too far, again, you step into this layer, this optimum stress level. Now, digging into psychology a bit here, but when you step into that layer, your stress is raised, your anxiety is raised, your heartbeat's raised, but it's been psychologically proven that in order to become our full potential and be our full kind of looking for the word here, when you want to achieve the most out of yourself, you need to be in that stress level, because of the stress kind of up a little bit, your anxiety's up a little bit. And for those guys and those girls who are, when it comes to the fight or the flight, when you're fight, you are going to learn the most. You're going to be the most progressive in that kind of loop, in that little bit of the optimum stress level. So we'll leave that alone a little bit because we could go off and talk about that all night. So we're going to get back into the anxiety part. So so I was saying before that I welcome anxiety because I like the feeling of anxiety, because I know that I'm about to do something that raises my heartbeat. I'm about to do something that makes me feel good. And even if I feel nervous, hi Donny, hi Tan, thanks for checking in, guys. Even though I feel nervous when I've got my anxiety kicking in, I know that I'm about to do something that afterwards is going to feel amazing, and I'm going to want to do it again. And in today's modern society, you need to chase those things that make you feel good. You need to do those things that make you feel alive. So when I get that anxiety feeling, I know I'm about to learn something. I'm about to do something that I don't normally do, and for me that's a good thing. And I hope by the end of this video that a lot of guys or a lot of girls who suffer with anxiety could probably look at anxiety from a different kind of angle. I'm not asking you to change your bread and butter straight away and just completely flip it and think, wow, I'm not bothered anymore. But even if I can change your mind a little bit, I'll be really grateful for that. I'd love to change people's minds about anxiety being a bad thing, because it isn't, guys. It can be really useful. So, restrictions of anxiety. What are the restrictions of anxiety? So, we've got it's a waste of your energy, your body's energy. A lot of body's energy goes into the signs of anxiety. So when you're worrying, you're constantly looking around for danger, you're on edge. Your body uses a lot of energy to do that. So you become tired, you become kind of worn out. Your head might, again, get dizzy because you're not breathing properly. It's going to have a negative effect on you if you don't control that anxiety. So what else? What other steps have we got? It's counterproductive. When you're worrying, when your anxiety is at an all-time high, you might end up with a panic attack. Now that's nobody's fault. It is the way it is. If you suffer from panic attacks, no one's going to point a finger. No one's going to say you're a bad guy because you struggle with them. But it's counterproductive, because when you're having that panic attack, when you're worrying about anxiety, you are not being productive, because it's natural that you can't think straight. The body and the mind, psychologically, again, it's proven that I love psychology, by the way, the mind can only do one thing at any one time. Now, this is about to blow your mind. And this blew my mind. I read this. It took me a while to believe this. But if you try and do, for example, tapping the head, rubbing the belly, people say it takes great skill to do this. I can't do it because my coordination's not right. But actually, nobody can do it. It's impossible. And I'll tell you why. Again, read about this. It's interesting. If you do two things at once, it is impossible for your brain to focus on more than one. So what's happening is, when you do something like tapping your head, rubbing your belly, there we go, I can't do it, can't get it. So when you pat your head, when you rub your belly, your brain is flicking so fast from one action to the other, but it's doing it so quick, you look like you're doing both at the same time, when actually your brain's only focusing on one. Again, check that out. It's great. Hi Jane Marie, thanks for that. I'm sorry to hear that anxiety's ruined your life for a long, long time. Hopefully, I can change your mind with what I'm saying in this video. Even if it's just a fraction, even if I could put you at rest next time you're in a bad situation or a negative situation, that'd be great, even if I could change you a little bit. So yeah, your brain can only think about one thing at a time. So you're counterproductive when you worry, when you're having a panic attack, or a stress anxiety attack. Anxiety can also lead to depression. It's not hand in hand. They don't come as a pair, but anxiety can. With anxiety, I'm just going to have another drink, guys, sorry. So with anxiety, you can avoid going out in public. Now, if you get anxiety to the point where you don't want to go to the shop because this might happen, or you don't want to go to the airport because this might happen, or you can't go to work because you might see this person, or whatever it might be, at some point your anxiety might become that strong that you decide to barricade yourself at home. Now, doing that, as we all know now through isolation, it's going to turn to depression at some point. It might take some people longer than others, but it will turn into depression if you go into isolation and lock yourself down because of anxiety. So anxiety can lead to that. There are other health conditions that anxiety can lead to, BPD possibly. Again, I'm not a doctor in any shape or form, so I might be well out of what I'm saying with this. This is only from my previous clients and the knowledge that I have from those. So we're looking at anxiety. This is the important part. This is what I want to kind of build up in people's heads. How can we make anxiety work for us? How can we take that situation that we're in now, that we find very, very stressful? How can we take that and how can we turn that around and make that work for us? So I want to quote, everyone might have noticed, I've got my Japanese Buddhism shirt on. I'm big on Buddhism. I've got the Buddhism sleeve, Japanese Yakuza stuff. Absolutely love the Buddhism stuff. So I love reading about the Buddha, and I love reading the Buddha. I'm not a devout Buddhist, but I love the Buddha teachings and the Buddha way of life. So I want to quote the Buddha. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mindset on the present moment. That is one of my favourite quotes, because that is all about anxiety. What is the point in worrying about something that's been and gone? Never worry about the past. No matter how painful, how dark or how deep it was, the only thing you need to take from that is lessons. The golden question about any bad situation, and hopefully people will back me up in this, is what can I learn from that situation? What has it taught me? What can I use from that situation going forward? How can I improve my life? How can I improve me from what I've been through previously? Now that for me has made me. That's made who I am. I suffered anxiety on a huge level with everything. Everything made me anxious, and that was because of years and years of bullying at school. I got to the point where I couldn't go out. I didn't want to go out, and that led to depression. I nearly committed suicide because of depression, and it got to the point where I was at the lowest I have ever been. I had never been so low. And it got to the point where people around me were genuinely worried because I was in such a depressive state. I was not me. I could sit on the bed and look out the window for 2.5 hours, 2 hours, and not blink, not move. I didn't know I'd been there for 2 hours. I felt like I'd been there 5 minutes and I would not have a clue. But enough of that. I kind of got some help, and it felt great for me to get the help and become a different person. And I just decided that I wanted to do that same thing for everybody else, and I wanted to take other people in that bad situation, in that anxious situation or depressive state, and take them to a whole new world, because I'm a whole new me since that. And people often ask, what does depression feel like? People have said to me, what does it feel like? How do you know you're depressed? Now, the perfect description for me, this is my take on depression, and this is how I feel that this is probably the only way you can describe depression. If you imagine a well is really deep, it's really dark, it's very cold, and it's probably wet. And for me, that whole well is your mind. And you are sat right at the bottom of that well. You are sat there and you are cold, you're lonely, you're wet, and you're miserable. And no matter how hard you try, you cannot climb out that well. There's no way you can climb out that well. And for me, that's how I feel about depression. That's how, when I was going through depression and I knew I was depressed, I was trying to explain what it felt like, and that's pretty much it. There's no windows, there's no way to climb out the well. You can look up and you can see the light, but you can't get to it. You just cannot climb out, and it's a horrible feeling. It really is. It's terrifying. So that's the quote from the Buddha. That's what I love. So we've talked about the past. Now, the present. The present is the only thing that you have control over. You do not control the past. You definitely do not control the future. And if you do, please get in touch with me, because I would love to be able to control my future. You only control your present right now. So you are watching this video. You're watching this video because you've decided to check in. You controlled your action and you clicked that button you wanted to watch. You might be, at the moment, I would say you're going to work, but obviously with the lockdown, you might be working tomorrow, but people often say that, oh, I have to go to work. You don't have to go to work. You go to work because you feel you need to. You need to pay your bills. You go because you're loyal to your workplace. Whatever keeps you going, you choose to go to that workplace every day. So the present. Make the present count. If you want something to happen, make it happen. If you want it to happen, but it's going to take longer than the next couple of seconds, start planning. Make plans for it to happen in the future. And into the future, we cannot control the future anyway. The future is going to come, whether we like it or not. Things are going to happen in the future, whether we like them or whether we agree with them or not. All you can do is put steps in place and put things in place right now in the present to make sure your future is as comfortable as possible. For example, you go to school, you study hard or you don't. I didn't go to school much, and I never really studied much. I kind of wasn't interested, didn't want to go, got bullied all the time, so I never went. And because of that, I got my degree in IT, but it took me a lot longer because I didn't go to school. Now, I could have gone to school and studied harder, and I would have had a more comfortable future. So I made my future tough by not going to school. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want something to happen, make steps and make plans. Write it down. Make a plan. Nothing's more powerful than writing steps to a goal and reading it every day. Seeing it, reading it. You read it, you see it, and you hear it. That's more powerful than just keeping it up here or looking at it on your phone but never really looking at it. You've got to say it out loud. You've got to say, I want this, 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 and this, and this. And when you say it, you hear it. And when you hear it, it goes into your mind. So, we've looked at that. So, what about challenges? Again, I'm going to kind of touch on what Steve said. Welcome challenges all the time. If they make you feel anxious, great. Don't see that as a bad thing. Don't shy away. Don't take a new job or a new driving test, or don't go to a new place or a new restaurant. Don't go out on a date with somebody you've been waiting for a long time and think, oh, do you know what? I'm anxious. I better not do it. Go for it. Make it work for you. Go for it with some conviction. You want to make that work for you. Go to that new job. Get that new date, whatever it may be, and make it work for you. Most importantly, there's one thing I want to say about comfort zones. Again, I've obviously covered this a little bit previous in the video. Step out your comfort zone. I wouldn't say step out your comfort zone too far, but step out of it. The best thing I've ever done is step out of my comfort zone. There's a lot of times where I've done things like this, or I don't know if people have heard me. I was on Zetland FM with Judy Donaldson. I was so nervous, and it was well out of my comfort zone, but I stepped out of that comfort zone. I didn't just step out of it. I took a run and a jump straight into that pool of water, and I couldn't swim. But you know what? I adapted and I loved it, and it came off really well, and I did well from that. And I've helped a lot of people because of that radio interview. I've written magazine columns again, something that I've never really done, but I've submitted them to magazines and online blogs, and they've gone down quite well. But unless I stepped out of my comfort zone, and if I shied away from that opportunity, I would never have known how well I could have done out of that. Or I might not have learned certain things that taught me, that experience taught me. So I'm kind of now getting to the end of my little video. I wanted to make it last about 1 hour, but I've kind of covered all the things I want to cover. Now, this part of the video is, for me, one of the most important, and I could see people making comments on the thing there, saying that they struggle with anxiety. So this will definitely work for you. I've got 3 techniques here for managing anxiety. Now, you can go away and you can research these. I'm not going to tell you which one, but one of these has never failed me or any clients I've ever had. So the first thing we're looking at is called EFT, and it's about tapping. Now, Japanese, again, I love the Japanese stuff. I can't say this word. Acupunctural points, forgive me if I've got that wrong. It's where they stick the acupuncture needles and they twist them, and certain things make your body do certain stuff. I'm not really up to scratch with that. But that's what EFT tapping is. So you've got certain nerve points in your body. Now you have one on the top of your head, you have one above your eyebrow, You have one underneath, one in the little crest, middle finger. You have one there in the lip, one in the chin, and one just next to your breast underneath your armpit. Now this tapping technique, so we need an example. Let's pick flights. I was really nervous about flights. You could not get me on a flight. I had loads of drink beforehand, but I was sweating. I was terrified. Never in my life have I had a bad flight, not once. But I was just worried about what might happen. That was my anxiety demon. That's what I used. One of these 3 techniques. I will tell you at the end which one I used. But I used one of these 3 techniques against flying, and it cured me like that overnight. And I've used one of these on a few other people, and it's worked a treat. So tapping. So flight is the example. So the phrase that we need to use is, even though I have this fear of ... so it's flying, I fully accept myself. And what you do is you can start anywhere on those points that I just showed you. So you've got the head there, 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 and there. You can start anywhere, but you go around in a loop, and you keep repeating, even though I have this annoyance and fear of ... I fully accept myself. Now, all 3 of these techniques work so much better if you can do 1 or 2 things. If you are in the situation right now that makes you very, very anxious, makes your anxiety on a level where you feel really ill. Now, the stronger your anxiety is, the more powerful that these techniques will be for you, and the more of an effect positively they'll have on you. Or if you can't be in that situation, sit in a quiet room with no distractions, close your eyes, and I want you to think about the situation that makes you feel sick. Really picture that environment. And again, the more you picture it, the stronger in your head it is, the better these work. So when you do the second one, when you sit there with your eyes closed, I want you to think about your senses. What can you see in that situation that makes you anxious? What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you hear? What can you feel? Think about all those things. And when you're at the point where your anxiety, don't pass out. Don't have a sort of panic attack and pass out. I don't want anybody doing that. But before you get to that point, start these techniques. So again, you just tap, 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 tap. You just, for about 3 seconds, and you say, even though I have this annoyance and fear of flying, I fully accept myself. And you just do that over and over again. Do it with your eyes closed. You might look a bit strange doing this in public, but do it wherever you can. That is a very powerful and highly recommended psychological technique. The next one is, it's called hand rubbing. Now, I do this a lot when I talk, all the time. Anyone who follows my Facebook group or follows me on Twitter or YouTube, you'll see when I do videos, I cannot keep still. That's the excitement of me when I'm doing videos. And sometimes I just do this and I do it, and that's what this second technique's about. So this is called hand rubbing. So again, like the first one, it works better if you're in a situation where you are highly anxious. And if you can't be in that situation, again, sit, use your senses, and think about the situation that makes you very, very anxious. And there's nothing to say. You don't need to say any phrase. This one you can do in public because you can get away with it. And if you look around, now I've told you about this technique, if you look around when you're on a train or a plane or in a meeting, you'll probably start to notice people are doing this now, when you probably never have picked up on it before. So what you do is you imagine you are rubbing hand cream into your hand, or you're washing your hand with soap. All you do is you do this, and you do this, you lock your fingers. There's no routine, you just literally mix it up. Don't go past the wrists, no need, just the hand. Now, using your hands to do this is directly linked to your breathing. So when you're in an anxious situation or your anxiety is at an all-time high, you might be doing this. And because that's natural, because your anxiety is playing hell with you, so you're going to be panicking, you're going to be struggling. Now, the step is to slow your hands down. Focus on your hand speed. And if you're doing this, your breathing's fast. As you slow your hands down and you look at your hands, look at the hand cream, look at the soap, look at it going into your hands, you won't notice it, but your breathing will slow right down. The slower your hands go, the better for you. And your anxiety will just come to a stop like that. You'll never notice it until you really pay attention to your breathing. It's magic, absolute magic. So all you do is you You breathe in. Imagine you're in a situation, you're on a plane and you're taking off and you hear the jets. Like, this is what used to set me off. You hear the jets and it's going, and all of a sudden it goes, and that's it. Anxiety goes bang. Start doing this and think, what am I doing? I need to slow down, rub that hand cream in, get every bit of those hands. Breathing comes right down. That's amazing. Try that. And the third technique is literally use anything that distracts you. Now, you might laugh. Fidget spinners. Absolutely crazy. I had 2 fidget spinners until my kids stole them, and now I don't know where they are. They've hid them in the house somewhere. But I used to have fidget spinners because, again, I like to play with my hands when I'm talking or when I'm doing things. I'm on the phone, I'm messing about at work, on my desk or whatever. My hands are constantly moving. Get yourself a fidget spinner. They're great. Apps or a poker chip. Something simple. And what you do is you fidget spinners, you just mess about with them. And what we're trying to do here is, again, this really only works when you're in the anxiety situation. You can't really think about the situation and do it because that doesn't really have the same effect. This one's got to be in that situation. So you're on a plane, you're taking off, you get a fidget spinner, you get a pound coin, you get anything you want, anything whatsoever that distracts your mind. I'm only saying play with something physical in your hand because that works stronger. If you can look out the window, or you can think about, if your mind's strong enough to think about something else, do that instead. But I prefer to have something in my hand, so fidget spinners are ideal. And just look at it. What colour is it? Look at the way it moves when you flick it around. For those who don't know what a fidget spinner is, it's like a little bit of a triangle shaped thing with like discs in it, and it all spins round. It's crazy. Some of them come with lights. You know what? Didn't have those when I was a kid. So you hold it and you spin it and look at it. Look what colour it is. How do the marbles inside it move? And what we're trying to do here is we are trying to distract. That's the key. Distraction. You're trying to distract your brain or your mind, because remember, the mind can only think about one thing at a time and only one thing at a time. So by distracting your mind from whatever's making you anxious, I'm on that plane right now and I'm hearing the jets and I'm sweating, I'm panicking, I'm fidgeting, I'm looking at this fidget spinner, what colour is it? I'm stopped thinking about the jets now because I'm looking at this in my hand and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm no one will look at you like you're a freak or anything. People do this. Go out. Next time you go out, I mean, like you say, we're on lockdown, so don't be going out too much. I don't want anyone taking my advice and going around the streets. Next time you go to work or you're in a meeting, just look around and you'll see this. People do this, or people play with their earrings or whatever. And sometimes I don't know they're doing it. But again, distract yourself. Those are the 3 techniques. Now, I'll give you a minute to think about which one you might like to use. Try all 3. It's trial and error. I know a lot of people, I work with a lot of life coaches who swear by the tapping method, the little tapping method. I know other people that love the hand rubbing. Now, I'm just going to give you a minute. Think about what you might like to try. Think about a situation. And I'm going to tell you which one I use and which one's changed my life and a lot of my clients' lives. They're all very powerful. Absolutely love them. Again, the key is distraction. So by using these techniques, we're just distracting our brain. That's all we're doing. Distraction, because we can only think about one thing. So, now you've thought about the technique. I use, you might have guessed it already, it made my face light up when I was talking about it, the hand rubbing. I love the hand rubbing because, personally, it's only my personal opinion, you sit on a train and you're doing this, you look like a bit of a nut job. You get yourself locked up. It's, you know what I mean? It's not normal for someone to sit on a train and start doing all this and repeating things. I know people who do it. It's not for me. You can sit on a plane, you can sit on a train, you can sit there and you can do this, and nobody will batter an eyelid at all. So I prefer the hand rubbing. Now, when I was terrified of flying, I'm now 33. I had to think about that there. I've been terrified of flying all my life. I've still done it, don't get me wrong, it hasn't stopped me from getting on the plane, but just beforehand, when I'm in that boarding lounge and I'm waiting to get on, I am sweating. My longest flight was 10 and a half hours to Mexico, 10 and a half one way, and that was the best flight I've ever been on, actually, but right beforehand, I was in the worst state I've ever been in. I got to the point where I got to the part where the ladies give you the free, or the gents or ladies give you the free magazines and newspapers. And they're saying, have a safe flight, enjoy your holiday, blah, blah, blah. Got to that gate and my legs stuck still and I could not move. And I said to my wife, it's my honeymoon. I said to my wife, we'd just been married. I said, I can't go. I'm going to have to go home. I could not get on that plane. And she, quite rightly so, get on that plane and forced me on the plane. And I sat there and I was drenched, I was sweating. My breathing was ridiculous. I wasn't doing life coaching, so I was not aware of these techniques at all. This was prior to my depression, so I didn't know any of this life coaching stuff ever. So I was panicking. Anyway, the flight was fine both ways, nothing to worry about. Never had a bad flight. Last year, I went to Greece and I was with my full family on the flight, and again, anxiety kicked in. This time I was a life coach, I knew about these and I knew about hand rubbing. So I sat on the plane just before we taken off. I think it was about a 6-hour flight, something like that. Again, not an issue, either way, perfect. Jets came on, anxiety rose, got a bit of sweating. I was now, because I'm looking out for the signs, I now know my breathing's picking up, I can feel my heart, I'm sweating, right, okay, I need to do something about this. So I started to hand rub. And obviously I started like this, boom, 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 slowed down, and the Jets came on even louder. And you know what? I was looking at my hands, didn't even notice, and we started taking off, and I looked out the window, and I could see the ground leaving. Was not phased. And then it was nice for me to just get away from that worry. And we touched down in Greece, and the plane back, I didn't even do that, didn't even do it. No nerves whatsoever. And I've not been nervous since. I haven't flown since, but for me, 2 flights back to back with no nerves or controlling my nerves, that's pretty much a success for me. So I'm quite happy about that. And I've used this hand rubbing with a lot of clients, and it's helped a lot of people. So that's pretty much it. I've now waffled on. So thank you for the people that are still here listening to my jibber jabber. Thank you for not dropping out. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. I just want to say thank you for Steve Green for letting me talk on the Mighty Red Car page, and I also want to say thank you to Pippa for allowing me this time slot, and thank you for Donny's there, I know he's listening. Thank you for tagging me in Pippa's post, or else I wouldn't have known about this. I hope everybody found this informative and useful. Hope everybody has a great evening. I hope everybody's safe with Corona. I also want to say one last thing, all joking aside, we owe a lot of appreciation and respect to not only NHS staff, but shop workers, police. Police are constantly in the moment chasing people, saying, get back in your house. That can't be an easy job for them. They've got families to go home to too. They don't want to be running around the streets all night chasing people, so respect to them. Respect to the shop workers, the factory workers, the taxi drivers, the bus drivers, if the bus routes are on, some of them are, some of them aren't. Apologies if I've missed anybody out, but huge respect and huge appreciation to anybody that's going to work during this lockdown. Have a great evening, everybody, and I really hope you enjoyed the talk. Let me know what you think. Thanks, everyone.